The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, 90 days of boxing, day number 37. Another night here in Las Vegas. Good to be back. As always, I told you guys 37 days ago I'd go live every single day for 90 days. And 37 days in a row, we have went live here talking boxing, giving you all that world-class content for 37 days straight so far. So good to be here again. I hope everybody's well. Hope everybody had a great, positive, productive weekend, because I know I sure as hell did. The whole week, really, I had a tough week. But yeah, man. I had a productive week, but a very, very busy week as well. But yeah, man, I'm going to be here for the next hour or so get your questions in. I know a lot of us were really excited about the Edgar Berlanga card that happened yesterday. It was a very, very fun card. A lot of entertaining things happened on that card. So we'll definitely talk about that as well as some other things in boxing. But before I get into that, before I get to the comments, let me give a big shout out to Pops yesterday, last night, who went live, who did a great job, who held it down. So, your boy BT could get at least one day of rest and recharge for a big upcoming week. Just so you guys know, before I get to the comments, because I do see a couple of comments, just so you guys know, today I actually bought my plane tickets to upstate New York. I will be attending Otabek Komatov versus Raymond Ford. So I'm only going as a fan. I'm not gonna cover the fight, but I'll be there as a fan. So that'll be a lot of fun. We talked a lot about Komatov versus Ford on this channel. So we're gonna go there and we're gonna see what's what. We're gonna see who the new WBA champion is gonna be. I know that's been a very big popular topic around here. Some of you guys think Raymond Ford's going to expose Otabek Komatov. People like me think that Otabek Komatov just has too much tools for Raymond Ford. He's too big, too strong, too fat, too big, too strong, and too skillful for Raymond Ford. So we'll see what it is. It'll be one of the first real big fights, notable fights in the featherweight division this year. So yeah, should be a lot of fun. If anybody's going to upstate New York, in Verona, at the Turning Stone, let me know. I would love to meet some of you guys. I love meeting people that watch the channel. It always gets me excited, but nonetheless, let's get to some comments before we get to some boxing. So shout out to my main man, the Falling Star, with the first comment. He says, with the golden age of Japanese boxing here, I predict in the next decade or so we will have a big promoter in the sport with just as much great business in Japan. You guys already have a big promoter. You guys got Hideki Ohashi, who's one of the biggest promoters in the sport. Eddie Hearn already signed a deal in Japan where he's going to be promoting a couple of fights there, during this calendar year. So that time's already here, Falling Star. But good to see you, champ. Shout out to all 10 of you guys here. I got 10 people here, but I only got 3 likes. So guys, don't be stingy. Kindly smash that like button so that the YouTube algorithms know that you're messing with your boy BT and all the content here on the channel, and that so this video gets out to the boxing fans that maybe aren't subscribed to me. Help me help them and help boxing. Brandon D. Hooker says, keep them coming, bro. Looking forward to catching this one on the playback for the road before work. A lot of great matches. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. And then he said, go back to Florida BT where boxing is making a comeback and stay away from the Jezebels in Las Vegas. LOL, I'll be praying for you, Hermano. Well, yeah, definitely keep your prayers coming, man. But you don't got to worry about me staying away from Jezebels in Las Vegas. They ain't really too much here, with all due respect. They ain't really too much here for the Jezebels in Vegas. Now, when I get home to South Florida, that's where you got to really pray for me, because that's where the top tier Jezebels reside, is in South Florida, and they look great. So pray for me all the time, but definitely pray for me more so when I'm back home than I am here. But good to see you, Brent. Hope all is well. I'll say this. I already dropped I dropped a bunch of videos about the fights yesterday, so I'm gonna be saying a lot of things in this live that I probably said in those videos. But man, that Yanquier Rivera fight against Andy Dominguez yesterday, that was to me the highlight of the card. Yanquier Rivera, Puerto Rican Olympian, in his first ever fight, and only his 5th pro fight, taking on Andy Dominguez, a guy that I know here from Vegas, from watching him train. Very good fighter. Yanquier Rivera got put under pressure, and when the pressure got put on him to perform in a step-up fight, he shined bright like a diamond. And I thought he made Andy Dominguez pay for every last mistake up until that very exciting 9th round where Andy Dominguez damn near stopped him and almost scored a miracle comeback victory. And he got the win. And I was looking at the rankings. Yanquier Rivera could very well be fighting for a world title by the end of this calendar year, because you got guys like Hiro Kaiguchi ranked around him, Artem Dalakian, Galal Yafai. I mean, there's some really good fights at flyweight form, and flyweight's becoming a division that's really, I think, in the next 12 to 20, the next 1 to 2 years, they're gonna start to heat up because you got those kind of guys. You got from Japan, Kento Hatanaka, who I think is gonna become the next Japanese champion from that weight class. So it's exciting times in the division, and I really do believe that fight yesterday between Yankiel and Andy Dominguez, it was one of the better Puerto Rico versus Mexico fights I've seen in a long time. So shout out to them. David Escher says, why does Canelo want to fight the other Charlo brother when PBC doesn't even want that fight? Because it's an easy fight. It's an easy fight for him. Jamal Charlo's been very wounded. He hasn't been training. He hasn't been living that life of a fighter. And that's why. Shout out to my boy. Everybody make sure you show your respect in the chat to my boy, the fighting fighter Homestead, Eric Lantis Jr. He says, Antonio Vargas is like gravy on the cake. Hey, guys, I wanna take a chat from you guys, or take a poll from the chat. How many of you guys have ever had gravy on your cake? Because me and Eric were watching this weirdo on YouTube, and he was talking about gravy on the cake. So let me know in the comments. Has anybody ever tried that? Because that sounds kind of weird. Mexican Boxing Number 1 says, Rick Laser has just broke the news an hour ago that Canelo has left PBC. I just seen that. Rick Laser said that Canelo's leaving PBC. I know that we're going to wait and see. But, Rick, I like Rick, man, because Rick gets a lot of this information quickly, and then nobody believes him. And then people start talking shit, and then boom, like a day or two or a week later, Rick Laser winds up being vindicated more times than not. So I'm sure he's gonna be going crazy here soon. And then you know what? I gotta hit up Rick Laser actually. Maybe this week sometime we'll get Rick on the channel so we could do a Rick interview. I know it's been about maybe a month and a half or some change since we had Rick on here, so it might be that time, But hey guys, come on, guys. Stop being stingy. Like I'm not begging, but man, we can't have such a disparity. There's 17 people here, but only got 6 likes. Come on, man. If there's 17 people here, there's gotta be at least 15, minimum 15, 14 likes. So hit that like button so this gets out to people. Chase Athletics, good to see you, champ. Always good to see you in the chat. Long time viewer. He says, champ, the untouchable empire. That's right, champ. Good to see you. Hope all is well, and God bless. But yeah, speaking of Berlanga, right? Just to touch on Edgar Berlanga a little bit. He did what he was supposed to do against Patrick McCrory. Thank God, because it's been damn near a whole presidential, term since this man got a stoppage. And now you got Edgar Berlanga. He's put his name in the mix for some big things. And now with this news, if the news that Rick Laser is reporting is true, that Canelo has that PBC and that he's going to Matchroom with DAZN, then it might be very possible that Canelo is going to fight Edgar Berlanga, because Edgar Berlanga is a fight that I thought for a long time, Canelo Alvarez would wind up taking, just because it's Mexico versus Puerto Rico. Yeah, so I mean, he did his thing. Edgar's trying out. He's trying to feint, which I like. He's still strong, but I still think he needs to, maybe just a little bit up the activity, because when he fights the guys like Canelo and Munguia, it's going to be a little hectic for him. Or not Canelo, but more so Jaime Munguia. And as far as if he's not going to throw more punches, then he needs to do a better job of setting up the punches he does throw and making those shots count more, because I just think at that top level, there's still some things Edgar leaves to be desired, but that's just me. He got exposed a little bit in the press conference because he was asked by one of the reporters. Shout out to the reporter that asked the question. He was asked in plain English, if you can't get Canelo and if you can't secure a Jaime Munguia fight, what would you think about fighting David Morrell Jr., which I think is a very important, very fair, very pertinent question. And Edgar pretty much said, nah, I'm not doing that, because he was like, I only want the big fights. I want Canelo and Munguia. But it would make a lot of sense, right? Because Edgar Berlanga, as it stands right now, he's the number 8 ranked contender in the WBA. Morrell is actually the regular champion, right? So by fighting Morrell, that would, if he was able to beat him, which I know, I would say probably 95% of boxing fans don't think he would beat Dan Morrell Jr. But if he was to beat Dan Morrell Jr., not only do I think it would change the narratives of Edgar Berlanga, but it would actually position him more for the Canelo fight. But listen, One thing about Edgar that maybe you guys don't understand, that I understand, is that Edgar has a very influential man behind him. And I'm not talking about Eddie Hearn. I'm talking about his manager. I'm talking about Keith Connolly. Keith Connolly, if I made a list of the top 50 most influential behind the scenes people in boxing, he would be very high on that list. That's a guy that knows how to make things happen. And he's made things happen for a lot of fighters in the past. And I think that with Edgar, if this news is true, that Canelo might be leaving PBC, or that he has left PBC and he's going to the Zone or going back to Eddie Hearn, then I think Keith Connolly is very capable of getting that deal over the line. And I know a lot of boxing fans will be pissed off if Edgar Berlanga fights Canelo, but listen, money talks and bullshit walks. That fight's would generate a lot of money. Mexico versus Puerto Rico always generates money and attention. And that's what it is. But for me, I would like to see Edgar fight the guys like Munguia. I feel like the best fight to make for Edgar is the Munguia fight, because they're on the same level. They both got something to prove. And I would love to see it happen. Edgar would get severely tested in that fight. But let me go to these comments, man. A lot of comments here. I appreciate everyone here. Make sure you smash that like button. It's your boy BT. Day 90 Days of Boxing, day 37. He says, LOI, Lloyd says, PBC is out here burning bridges with every network they've been on. Yeah, they don't listen. They done been with as many networks as Will Chamberlain has women. PBC, they were on Bounce TV. They was on ESPN. They was on Estrella TV. NBC, CBS. Every network imaginable. So, look, Al Heyman's a smart, shrewd businessman. There's been rumors for a long time that they might be getting a second network. Hopefully, for the sake of their fighters, that does happen, so that those guys can keep busy. Because I don't want to see fighters not be kept busy and not fight. I don't wish that on nobody. I'm not out here waving pom-poms for promoters like a lot of other content creators here. I want these guys to get to fight. So hopefully, for our sake and for their sake and for the sake of boxing, they can get their act together. I thought Romero Angulo clearly beat the guy and got robbed. Yeah, I saw he fought yesterday. Wait, he fought yesterday? I thought he was fighting like a week from now. I guess he fought yesterday. He got robbed? Who'd he fight? I was at Beterbiev versus Vosnik. If it's true, David has got a tough fight on his hands. Yeah, Alexander Gvozdyk is no joke. WBO champion, former WBO champion, former lineal champion, former Olympian, long rangey, educated, smart style, can punch with both hands. I would say it's got a chance to be the toughest fight of David's career, because you just don't know when fighters move up in weight. You don't know how they're gonna have to adapt their style, because you can't adapt. You can't normally fight the same way in one weight class as you do the other. When you start fighting bigger guys, there's some adjustments and there's some tweaks that need to be made. So we'll see how it goes when that does happen. But hopefully they get the date and the venue fully squared away, and we can start making our plans accordingly here on True School Sports to hopefully be at that fight. Oh, you guys are talking about Angulo when he fought Berlanga. He said no, Angulo beat Berlanga. Okay, yeah, because Angulo is fighting next week. He's fighting this upcoming weekend, or next weekend on March 1st. He's fighting down in South Florida. He's fighting at this place called at Tropical Park, this really nice park in Miami by Mundo Boxing Gym. Mundo Boxing Promotions is having a card. If I wasn't going to New York for this Odebrecht Raymond Ford fight, that's where I would be. On that card, you're gonna have guys like Lorenzo Medina. You're gonna have fighters like Daniel Bailey. South Florida top talent on that card. Are good, but my boy Sense Boy, Apayemi, Odeyemi, the Nigerian fighters, a lot of good fighters on that card. And Angulo, I believe, is the main event, if I'm not mistaken. Should Saudi invest in PBC? That gives them a promotional. Even if Saudi wanted to invest in PBC, I don't think Heyman wants to do business with them, because if he did, a lot of his fighters would be doing business with them already. They wouldn't have to leave Heyman and go straight over there. It would be a lot more seamless. Munguia might piece up Berlanga. That's a hell of a fight. That's the fight we need right there. They both got a lot to prove. Nick Radford says the Zone with Golden Boy and Matchroom should do a 2-part deal with Canelo for Munguia and Berlanga, especially if the Benavidez is not available, who I think Canelo should fight. That would be great. I mean, if you get, I feel like that kind of a deal, Nick, would tick a lot of boxes. Canelo would fight 2 young, undefeated fighters, one from Puerto Rico and one from his home country, Mexico. I think both those fights do great business, you know? Angulo punches hard. It's just, I heard wrong what you said about Munguia. Do you think he can beat him? I can't see that happening. I think Edgar is definitely strong enough to push Munguia back and hurt him. My thing with Edgar is I don't think Edgar sets his punches up well enough yet to like fight as economical as he likes to fight. And he doesn't really throw a lot of punches either. So I think Munguia will probably beat him just off volume. He'll beat him off volume and not even just that. I think Munguia, I got to give him his due, man. Y'all know I'm not no big Ryan Munguia fan, and I've had a lot to say about him, but Ryan Munguia has done a great job, I think, with all the coaches he's had over the years. He's taken a little bit from all the different trainers he's had, like Robert Alcazar, Eric Morales, and now Freddie Roach. He's developed this nice little trait of he can fight a patient fight. He showed it against John Ryder. John Ryder is a hard fighter to be patient against. John Ryder gets in your chest. John Ryder is physically strong, and John Ryder is one of the better 68-pounders in the world. And he was able to wait him out. He was able to be patient, and he was able to eventually find the hard, aggressive counter shot and knock him out. So Bosnick is good. He was dancing for his Beterbiev. It's the best fight I've been to. Yeah, I'll tell you this. The one time I seen Arthur Beterbiev fight live against Joe Smith Jr., it was definitely one of the best performances I've ever seen live. And most of the fighters that are currently active in boxing, like you guys can name the names. Every big name in boxing, I've pretty much seen them all fight live, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 here and there. Like I haven't seen Inoue fight live, but everybody outside of like Inoue, I've pretty much seen fight live in the sport. Canelo, Crawford, Romo Gonzalez, all of them. Bivol. Yeah. Yo, Eric, could you not play that so loud? You heard that the Gonzalez wants his final fight in Japan. That means the Ioka fight isn't that far-fetched. That's the fight that he should be targeting. That's one of the fights he should be targeting. If not Ioka, Roman Gonzalez should be targeting a fight against somebody at 118 to become a fight division champion. Ioka and Chocolatito have been linked to fighting each other for like 10 years now, and it never wound up happening due to probably just promotional, negotiational differences. But yeah, a lot of things happening in boxing right now. You know, I want to touch on this before and David Esther, your timing is perfect because that's exactly what I was going to talk about. So today, or a couple of days ago, I guess, Floyd Schofield called out Shakur Stevenson again. And Shakur Stevenson doesn't like the fact that Floyd Schofield is calling him out. Now, Shakur is he's a funny character. He's an interesting piece of work because Shakur Stevenson is the main fighter in his weight class that says, nah, these guys don't want to fight me, right? Then when somebody wants to fight him, now it's a problem. So he's saying, he said to Floyd Schofield that, hey, I'm not giving you no clout. You're not getting no more clout off my name. You need to go fight my little brother, Abdullah Mason. Now, before we even get into that, the first question we must ask is, does Floyd Schofield have a legitimate, gripe with calling out Shakur Stevenson? Now, when you check the rankings, Floyd Schofield is not ranked in the WBC rankings. Shakur Stevenson is currently the WBC champion. Schofield is nowhere to be found in the top 15 of the WBC rankings, but he's number 4 in the WBA rankings, right? So he's ranked highly in one of the governing organizations. It's just not the one that Shakur Stevenson has a belt with. Now, when I hear Shakur Stevenson saying this, he's funny because he really should be happy that somebody is so adamant to fight him. Somebody that's young and good in the sport wants to fight him, but he wants to play matchmaker, and he's doing his little Floyd Mayweather impression. He's doing the same thing. He's doing the same thing that Floyd Mayweather tried to do to Keith Thurman by putting Earl Spence in front of him. So he didn't have to fight him. Now, Shakur is friends with Abdullah Mason. I know this because I know Abdullah personally, and I know from talking to him and asking him in interviews and off camera, I know that they have a good relationship. I know that if Abdullah were to beat Floyd Schofield and if they fought, Shakur is not going to fight Abdullah Mason. That's not happening. And truth be told, unpopular opinion here, and I don't care nobody says, I don't think Shakur want to fight Abdullah Mason because that'd be a hard fight for him. He might F around and lose that one. Because Abdullah Mason is the real freaking deal, and he's not gonna sit. He can do all that problem with the jab and boxing from the outside. Abdullah can do all that, but the difference between Abdullah and Shakur is Abdullah will punch your freaking lights out, and he's got what they call a killer instinct. He's a butcher. He's literally a butcher with boxing gloves on. So that's an unpopular. That might be an unpopular opinion, but he's the real deal. So does the same rule apply to Abdullah as with Floyd? Like, come on, man. Shakur Stevenson ain't fighting nobody. You're not fighting Navarrete yet, because Navarrete's gonna go fight Dennis Baranchik. You're not gonna fight Tank. You're not gonna fight Devin. You're not gonna fight none of them guys. So you get a guy. You're not fighting Williams Peta because he's fighting Maxi Hughes. So you get a guy who wants to fight you, and you want to start playing. You want to become the black Brad Goodman. You want to become the black Bruce Champler, and you want to start playing matchmaker. And it's just like, that's corny. The best thing he could say is, I wish Shakur would just say, you know what? Why not just, let's do it. Yeah. And then let Top Rank see if they want to do the fight. Let Golden Boy see if they want to do the fight. And then if Golden Boy doesn't want to do the fight, then guess what? Floyd Schofield looks bad, but he sounds ridiculous talking about you got to beat Abdullah to fight me. Now, don't get it twisted. I like that fight. I love Abdullah Mason versus Floyd Schofield. If it were to happen, then amazing. Great fight for boxing. But I just don't like the fact that Shakur Stevenson is the one that's trying to orchestrate it. It's weird. Kid Austin seems like he's afraid of Abdullah Mason. He should be. He should be. That boy's the truth. Abdullah Mason's the real deal. Honestly, he'd be better off just fighting Shakur because, listen, Shakur might outbox you. He might touch you up a little bit, but you're not going to get hurt. Abdullah Mason going to try to hurt you. You know? David Esther says, I got an M on Abdullah is what he's... Yeah, he did say that. And Abdullah said that he would like that fight too. So Abdullah is welcoming the smoke. As Abdullah has said in the past, he, on his shirts, he has an appetite for the smoke. So, listen, I would like to see Golden Boy. Golden Boy and Top Rank came together for Sneesa Estrada and Yoko Vai. I'd love to see Golden Boy come together for Schofield versus Abdullah Mason. I just don't like the fact that Shakur Stevenson gets called out and there's a dude that legitimately wants to fight him, and his first reaction is, nah, you got to fight my little brother. That's corny. Yeah, Shakur seems like a smoke deflector. When he was at what was it, 130? Like when he was at 130, it was the same thing. Joe Cordina called him out for unification. Nah, he didn't want to fight me. Like, listen. And this goes out to this isn't just a Shakur thing. This goes out to all fighters in boxing, all of them. I don't give a damn what weight class you're in. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. You cannot sit here and say you are this ducked and avoided fighter and nobody wants to fight you and you're scary and you're this, that, and the third. And then when somebody calls you out and it's a good fight and it's a fight that's actually worth watching and it's a worthy opponent, then you say, nah, they don't want to fight me. Come on, man. That's just my opinion. Why does Shakur believe he is the messiah of boxing? This early days really showed that much talent. Shakur's an easy target. He's easy for, these days, he's very easy to criticize. And I do think, like him and a lot of these guys at 35, they've been told their whole amateur careers that they're great and that they're the messiahs of boxing. But no, he was a really good amateur. He was the National Golden Gloves champion, a USA Olympian. He won a silver medal. He really should have, he was supposed to win the gold, but he didn't win the gold. But I'm not gonna sit here just because I maybe feel some type of way about Shakur Stevenson. I've been around long enough. I've been covering boxing long enough. Around the time when I started covering boxing, that's when Shakur was just getting ready for the Olympics. And I remember I met a young Shakur Stevenson in New York City in the press room after the Algieri Spence fight in 2016. And I interviewed him back then. It was like one of his first ever interviews on YouTube. And Shakur Stevenson was known as a top flight creme de la creme amateur back then. So yes, he was all that in a bag of chips as an amateur. Every promoter wanted him. Mayweather wanted him. Bob wanted him. Oscar wanted him. Everyone wanted him. So yeah, I get frustrated with Shakur because you know, like the good book says, it is Sunday, so I'm gonna put on my Pastor BT hat for a second. Like the good book says, you know, to whom much is given, much shall also be required, right? So if you're given a lot of talent, then there's gonna be high expectations placed on you, right? So that's why we're hard on Shakur. We chastise Shakur Stevenson because we love Shakur Stevenson here on True School Sports. But yeah, I just don't like how I don't like how that was his first reaction. Like, come on, man. You got like one career world title defense in your career. You haven't really shown that consistency of like having sensational performances. Let's hold your horses. You got a lot of work to do. You got a lot of work to do. Yes, you're a 3-division champion. Congratulations, but you got a lot of work to do, Shakur. You know that's just the truth. And I got no problems with him. I like Shakur. I'm a big fan of his. Just calling it like I see it. You know. But what do y'all think? What kind of chance would y'all give like Floyd Schofield in a fight like that? Because when I really sit back and I unpack that potential matchup between Floyd Schofield and Abdullah Mason, you know, all I can think about and the best word I can use to describe what that fight could be is fireworks. You know, Abdullah Mason is a very sharp southpaw. He can counter. He can box. He can punch. He can do a lot. He can do a lot of things really, really well. I really don't think Abdullah has even had a chance to fully show the world all of his tools, and that's the scary part about it. Floyd Schofield is strong, stocky, explosive. I mean, that fight wouldn't produce anything but fireworks. So that's what I think. Shout out to my guy out there in Long Island, New York, a long-time viewer. Hope you're well, champ. Johnny Boy 714 for the super chat. He says Shakur talks way too much on social media. Yes, but a lot of guys do these days. That's why you gotta appreciate fighters. You gotta appreciate fighters that don't talk on social media too much. You know, I know a couple. I know a couple that don't talk on social media at all. They just sit, they do their thing, and they go to the gym and they train. They get down to business, right? Mm-hmm. But you know, you still gotta market yourself a little bit. There's a happy medium. Like you do gotta market yourself. You gotta let people know that you're alive and you're active and get them just excited about your fights. But you gotta still focus on your training. So there's a middle ground. But yeah, I do think like, what do you think about that, man? What do you think about Shakur? Did you see what Shakur? Remember I told you earlier about Shakur and Abdullah. Shakur's like playing matchmaker because Floyd Schofield called out he called out Shakur, and Shakur was like, nah, if you want to fight me, you got to fight my little brother, Abdullah Mason.
Floyd Schofield, right?
Floyd Schofield. He called out Shakur. And Shakur is like, no, I'm not giving you no clout, no more. You got to fight my little brother, Abdullah Mason.
How many fights what is he ranked or what?
So Floyd Schofield isn't ranked anywhere. He's ranked only in the WBA. He's number 4. You know, Shakur has a WBC title. He's not ranked in the top 15 of the WBC. But he's ranked 4 in the WBA. And I think now he's probably got like, 15? I'm going to check it right now. I'm pretty sure like 15 fights.
He's got 15 fights and
16 fights. He's 16 and 12 knockouts.
What does Mason have?
Abdullah probably got like, let me see. I want to say he probably got like 10 or 11. Let me see.
10 or 11?
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's more, but I'm pretty sure. I know Floyd has more. He's a little more advanced in his career as far as like the amount of fights he's had.
Yeah.
Have you done that before, bro? Has anybody ever called you out and then you said, nah, you can't fight me. You got to fight my little brother from New Mexico?
No.
Abdullah's tough, no.
For me personally, anybody can get it.
Anyone can get the smoke.
But, like, if he's basically telling me he's got to earn his stripes, right?
Pretty much. At that, in so many words, because Shakur's vantage point is that he's a 3-division champion. He's a top fighter in boxing. You haven't even stepped up and fought like a former champion, nothing like that. So it's like, why don't you fight another young lion? Then if you could show you could beat him, then okay, that's gonna make me want to fight you more because he spars Abdullah. He knows how good he is, you know.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I mean, it'll happen if you're who you say you are, and if time will tell, you know. The cream always rises to the top, and if he's as good as he say he is, and he keeps backing it up and keeps winning, eventually he'll get that fight. But right now, I don't think it's the time for it. Let him get a little bit more fights. He gets more popular. People know his name more, and then boom, they can make it happen then.
They can make it happen then. So there you go.
It could be a mega fight.
There you go. Those are words from the champ, Angelo Leo. So
But right now, many people don't know who Floyd Schofield is.
you really know who Floyd Schofield is.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
Angelo, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell y'all something about Angelo Leo. This guy is a boxing nerd. I knew Angelo loved boxing, but like since I've been here in Vegas, I'm really learning to the depths and to the degrees how much this dude really loves boxing because he don't watch no shows, right? I mean, I ain't seen you watch no TV shows.
Nah.
He don't watch no shows. He don't boxing. I mean, and it'd be the most random fights. Like the other day, he was watching Ricardo Lopez versus Hideki Yohashi. It'd be today. He's like, Pernell Whitaker fought Poirier Pius. I gotta watch that fight. You know, like that's how he operates.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, should be a lot of fun. Big Supreme's asking the question that I feel like I'm gonna get asked the whole week because True School Sports is the home of boxing. So by default, it's been the home of Otabek Komatov versus Raymond Ford coverage. It's a good fight, man. I mean, I'm gonna probably do a whole live about this tomorrow, or maybe Tuesday. I'm not sure if tomorrow or Tuesday, but man. I like, I've been very high on Otabek Komatov for years. And I'm talking about before he fought on TV, before he fought Thomas Ward, before Raymond Ford to him was ever a thing. I've been high on him for years. And I've always thought since the first day I seen him train, he was going to be a world champion. That's how I've always felt. I've seen him spar about anywhere from 50 to 70 rounds in the gym. I think it's a good fight. I think, Raymond Ford is going to be very up for this fight. He's going to be very up for this fight. And he's going to be... Whatever the highest level of sharpness he is, that's what I would expect him to be in this fight. Just because, he's got a lot to prove. He's going to fight on a different promotion. He's the B-side fighter. His best chance to win the fight is obviously counterpunching. Otabek Komatov is long and rangy. He loves to come forward he's a mid-range pressure fighter. He doesn't necessarily pressure you from the mid-range, but he pressures you from like. He doesn't pressure you from the inside, but he pressures you from mid-range. He can box really well. And I think the one thing people are underestimating about Otabek Komatov really is his his boxing ability. This is a guy that was I believe he won I think it was a silver or bronze in the AIBO Youth World Championships. And they don't just give those away. He wound up losing to Hayata Tsutsumi, who wound up winning the final, but they don't just give those away. He can box his ass off. And I've seen him do it in the gym. I've seen him box very well in the gym. His conditioning is elite. And so I just think the combination of size, boxing ability, and conditioning it's a bad matchup for Ford. Ford is going to have to get his respect. And even then, even then, if Ford gets his respect, I still think Otabek Komatov still has the skills to outbox him. People think like I'm only picking Otabek Komatov because of power. Like I was talking to my boy Ian Green, shout out to Ian Green, the middleweight contender. He's from New Jersey, and he was telling me in plain English, like, BT, I got Ford, skills pay the bills. And I told Ian Green, I said, look, I said straight up, you're right. Skills do pay the bills, and you're going to find out when they fight. So it's a great fight. I can't wait to be there. So, I'll be in upstate New York. I'll be at the fight. And let the chips fall where they may. Whatever's meant to happen is meant to happen. If Ford wins, then congratulations to him. And I'll have to talk about him a lot differently if he beats Otabek Komatov because apart from his own coaches, apart from Timur Ibragimov, apart from anybody who sparred him, and apart from his current coach right now, I can honestly say, especially when it comes to boxing media and reporters, there's nobody on this earth that knows how good Otabek Komatov is more than I do. And I can confidently sit here and say that, yeah, he hasn't fought the best competition yet, and I get all that. I understand everybody's sentiments, but I know what I'm watching. He is one of the best featherweights in the world. He's up there. I think he's up there. But we'll see. He's got to prove it. You can't just live off hype. You got to ultimately go in there and validate what I'm saying. So should be a lot of fun. I think Top Rank should thank me. I think Raymond Ford should thank me for making this fight more hype than I'm probably giving this fight more hype than anybody else in boxing. So it'll be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to be there. He said, my man Big Supreme said, oh man, he said, BT, he said, Ford is on your heels, BT. He said, you got smoke with Ford. Listen, Raymond Ford, listen, I got nothing against him. I got no hatred for nobody. I live too blessed of a life to hate anybody, but he better just worry about Otabek Komatov. Don't worry about me. Gotta worry about that big ass Uzbek. He says Komatov is the same size as Sabrina Matias and Ishmael Davis, and they're at one. Yes, he's huge. He's a gargoyle at the weight class. He has long arms. He boxes really nice on the outside and at mid range. And he has this one punch I like. It's like when fighters throw a straight right hand, he catches it and then he dips to his left and he throws either the uppercut to the head or the uppercut to the body. It's a catch and counter uppercut. Watch out for that punch. And remember I told you guys, if Raymond Ford presses Otabek Komatov at all and he misses or overshoots, Otabek Komatov will be looking for that catch and counter uppercut. And if he can't defend it, he's going to get hurt very early in the fight. I'm telling you that right now. But it's a good fight, you know. Ford's no chopped liver. He was National Golden Gloves champion. He's definitely fought the stiffer competition in the pros. But the thing is, the stiffer competition he fought, guys like Edward Vasquez, guys like, you know, Albuquerque's very own Aaron Perez, he ain't looked the best against. But, you know, he's rebounded nicely his last couple of fights against Sicaria Lucas and Jesse Magdaleno. And, you know, he's got some confidence going into the fight. So, look, if nothing else, Komatov Ford is a fun featherweight fight that I think every boxing fan should tune into. It's worth everybody's time. And look, it's not even the only featherweight world title fight on the card. That's a crazy thing. I'm just so excited about it that I forget half the time. But you got Venado Lopez on the card, defending the belt against a very sharp, very crafty Rhea Abbey from Japan, who's trying to join the other 9 Japanese fighters in boxing and become the 10th active world champion from Japan. Ain't that crazy, Angel? Japan got 9 active world champions right now.
I've seen that. They got more than Mexico right now.
Do they?
I think so. I think they surpassed them.
They surpassed them. If Venado loses his belt, they'll have 10.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't really have as many thoughts about Rhea Abbey versus Venado as I do Komatov Ford. I've studied Komatov Ford a lot more than I have Venado, Rhea Abbey. But, you know, we'll talk about Venado and Rhea Abbey. You know, once I study it a little more, you know, I think it's the prototypical, like, Mexico versus Japan fight where you got one guy in Venado who's he's a gunslinger. He don't really have a tight high guard like most Mexican fighters. But, you know, he's fighting Rhea Abbey, a guy that I think he moves around a little bit more than most Japanese fighters. He's a southpaw. He's sharp, you know, good boxer. Big Supreme says Kiko Martinez had Rhea Abbey running all night. Yeah, he did move around a lot that fight. But that's Kiko, though. Kiko Martinez, that boy comes to scrap. He comes to squabble, as they say here in Vegas. You know, and so I can't really fault him too much. but he found a way to win it. And when he counterpunched Kiko that fight, he was actually able to get his attention. But yeah, it's your boy BT, the untouchable, True School Sports Empire. You know, 90 Days of Boxing, day number 37. You know, we're here. I got 22 more minutes, guys. So when this hits an hour, we're gonna hop up out of here because you know, I've been out here in Las Vegas with my boy Eric Lances Jr. now for 3 weeks. We've been going gym to gym, sparring a lot of people, getting a lot of rounds, and stay tuned, man. He's gonna be in y'all television screens real soon and making some noise in the boxing world. And today's actually his last night here, so you know, gonna go enjoy my night with him and you know, before he goes back to Homestead. But yeah, man, get your questions in. I know what else happened in boxing. I know. Let me see. Let me go back and check the news. There's been a lot of things happening in boxing. I wanted to get y'all take on this. I got a video coming out on this tomorrow. Conor Benn or Danny Garcia has joined the list of fighters calling out Conor Benn. You know, he wants that fight. He feels very confident about. What he saw or maybe what he didn't see when Conor Benn fought Pistol Pete Dobson, and he feels like he's gonna be too much for Conor Benn. And I think that's a good fight. I think that fight would do good business here in the States, because Danny has a big fan base on the East Coast. Conor Benn is a rising star in the sport, and I think stylistically, it's actually a winnable fight for both, because Danny Garcia is a fighter that relies on counterpunching and timing, but he ain't really been fighting that often, right? So because he hasn't been fighting often, you know, the first thing to go is your timing if you're not fighting. So he might be a step too slow, and Conor Benn, I can see Conor Benn, you know, out hustling him. Ooh, shout out to my guy John with the super chat again. Good to see you again, Johnny boy. He says, BT, give me a prediction on Tim Tszyu versus Keith One-Time Thurman. Oh, man. Well, look, I think Keith Thurman, has the skills and the smarts and the footwork to go ahead and make it a tough night's work for Tim Tszyu. And, you know, if he was a little more active, I would give him a bigger shot. But if there's one thing that I learned last year in boxing, more so than any year ever, is that activity matters. And not only is Keith Thurman going to be the older fighter, but he's the less active fighter. And he's fighting one of the most active fighters at the championship level. And then from a style standpoint, we know that in the past when Keith Thurman has fought like Luis Collazo, Manny Pacquiao, these kind of guys, he hasn't gotten stopped and he hasn't really gotten dropped by a body shot, but his body has shown vulnerabilities, right? And Tim Tszyu is a very crafty counterpuncher. Everyone talks about Tim Tszyu's pressure and his conditioning and his endurance, but what I don't hear people talk about is just how crafty of a counterpuncher he is. He showed it in a great way when he fought Brian Mendoza. How crafty of a counterpuncher he can be, and how equally aggressive of a counterpuncher he can be. So I think Keith Thurman may have some success early on. I think he may even outskill Tim Tszyu. You know, you might see, we might be through 5 rounds and it might be 3-2 either way. But I think when we get into those middle rounds and things really settle down, Keith is gonna feel his age. He's gonna fight. He's gonna find out that activity matters. And I think somewhere around round 7 or 8, Tim Tszyu breaks down Keith Thurman and sends him into early retirement and stops him. But hopefully, I hope it's a good fight. I hope it's competitive. I mean, I like Keith Thurman. But I'll say Tim Tszyu 8th round stoppage. And when I watched the State of Boxing today, they criticized Jared Anderson's choice of opponent, rightfully so. It's bad. I mean, I feel like anytime I go live from here on out, you guys are going to bring up Jared Anderson versus Riyad Mary. It's really bad. I mean, I've already spoken my piece on it. I don't want to continue to put Jared Anderson down, but, like, people are calling this guy the next Riddick Bowe, and he's fighting guys that got knocked out by cruiserweights. So it's like, it's a sad state of affairs. If you bet on Tim Tszyu, you should do it on a stoppage. No value in taking him straight up. There you go. Betting advice from David. Danny lands that left hook on Conor Benn going to sleep because Danny has an all-time great Hall of Fame. He does. That's one thing I can't say about Danny Garcia. Doesn't have great speed. He's a good puncher, but not no great puncher. He's not really great. He's done a lot of things very good, but nothing really great. But, man, that chin, you said it best. Hall of Fame, all-time great chin. One of my, shout out to my boy Paul. One of my best friends back home that I grew up with from Dania. He's Danny Garcia fanboy. And I remember when I used to live with my boy Paul, he used to always say, yeah, BT, your favorite fighters, hit the canvas. Roman Gonzalez, hit the canvas. Gennady Golovkin, hit the canvas. Terrence Crawford, hit the canvas. But Danny Garcia, never hit the canvas. So it's that 6th toe, man. That extra toe gives him extra balance. EK Tran, and he says, when are you and Hyro going to argue on the stream? That's the funniest part. Well, I already know that EK Tran is a Hyro burner account. So, Hyro, you can use your account, champ. I got 15 minutes to argue with you. And you can type your bullshit. You can go ahead. I don't think Danny Garcia has shown a great chin, but he's showing toughness. You sure about that? Because, Keith Thurman, I remember clocked him with some big shots back when Keith Thurman was really knocking the dudes out. Lucas Batista hit him with some big shots. He's fought some guys that could crack, and he hasn't really necessarily been. He hasn't been dropped. Like, he hasn't been. You gotta give him respect where respect is due. Danny could definitely take a punch. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna bet my whole bank account that Anderson knocks that no hoper out. If Jared Anderson don't knock out Riyad Mary, then I'm out of words to say. What did y'all make of? I know I did videos about it, but what did y'all make of? Now that we're like 48 hours removed from Takuma Inoue beating up on German Akaz, what do you guys think? Like, he's the WBA champion. His mandatory is Antonio Vargas, who won yesterday. How do you guys see that matchup? Because I think Inoue showed, at least in the Akaz fight, that while it's not necessarily his main style, he does have the capabilities to have success in the pocket. By the way, shout out to Hyro. He says, but I'm 23 tomorrow. Yeah, Hyro, happy birthday for you, champ. I'll definitely give you a call. I know I've been saying these last couple days, but I'm gonna give you your phone call, man. I'm gonna give you your respect on your day, on your birthday. I would have liked Laura versus Garcia fight. A lot of people were mocking it. It's not a bad fight. I just didn't like the fact that they were doing all that to hold up the middleweight division. Like Michael Zarafa took step aside money, and then these guys didn't fight. So like, it's holding up all the other contenders in the division, like Ian Green, who I like. What is the next legacy fight in boxing? There's a lot of legacy fights in boxing that could be made. Believe it or not, the fights on Saturday that I'm going to in New York, I know, like, you could say, like, they're not the biggest fights, but I think for those fighters' careers, like for Nato, for Ford, for Komatov, for Rhea Abbey, though, like, whatever the outcome of those fights is going to be is going to shape how their career is going to go. So I think those are, in a sense, like, on a much smaller scale, legacy fights. In a way, moving up to featherweight, there's a lot of legacy fights. Canelo versus Benavidez be a legacy fight, but Canelo doesn't feel the need to fight Benavidez. And Eddie Reynoso is justifying. Like, Eddie Reynoso is like, a lot of big fights in boxing didn't happen. Bo versus Lewis never happened, and he's trying to justify fights of yesteryear not happening to justify his fight not happening. And really, like I was telling my friend earlier, is like if everyone Canelo really ever wanted to fight, he fought them. And if he had a burning desire to fight them at any point, the fights happened because he has that level of influence and power in boxing because of the money he generates. He said Golovkin never hit the canvas. Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. He didn't hit the canvas. But yeah, my boy would always say that. He would say, yeah, he would start naming fighters and say that. But you're right. Thank you for the correction. You're right. Which current fighters are ruining their careers by their attitudes? Garcia or Spence are probably the big ones right now. You named them. I mean, you named the fighters that are ruining their career by their attitudes. I mean, fighters can ruin their careers for a lot of reasons. I mean, attitudes, listening to the wrong people, not training properly, getting distracted. I mean, I'll tell you this: living a life of a fighter, it's not for normal people to even be a fighter. It don't even matter if you're a good fighter. Just to be a fighter, you could be a journeyman. Just to live the life of a fighter is hard because you can't be like most people on earth. You gotta sacrifice time with your family, time with your loved ones. You can't be out here wilding out with girls. It's a lot of things. So that's why you gotta respect fighters, because 99.9% of the population on Earth couldn't live that life of a fighter. It's too lonely. It's too at times tedious. But you know what? That's what makes the successes so high. It's because you're going through the same mundane, monotonous routine, and you're training for one night. I mean, you're literally training for one moment in time, and that's why you gotta respect the fighters, especially the guys that win titles. I like Oscar Valdez. I know a lot of people can't stand him, but time heals all wounds, and it's been a long time since that ordeal he had, and he's got class. Yeah, I've met Oscar. I've had a chance to meet Oscar Valdez. I interviewed him one time just before he fought Shakur Stevenson, and I met him on a couple other occasions. Listen, Oscar Valdez is a very, very classy person. None of us are perfect. We all have skeletons in our closet. It's very easy, especially, I know for fans, it's easy to criticize fighters. So if he screwed up, it was what it was. He owned up to it, and all he's done really since then is just fight top people. I'm not even gonna acknowledge you, Hyro, because you didn't say nothing about no damn Yanquiel Rivera versus Andy Dominguez. Your prediction doesn't count because you didn't get it before the fight. That's what you do, Hyro. You don't even be saying nothing about these fights, and then then you want to come out and say, oh, I knew this would happen, I knew that would happen. So I want to know in advance, Hyro, since you want to do this, what's your prediction for Ford Komatov so I can hold you to it? Because you didn't say one thing. I talked to you plenty of time. You never said one thing. I've been going live every single day. You've been coming up here flapping your gums about PBC and all these other things for days. I never heard you say one thing about no damn Yanquiel Rivera versus Eddie Dominguez. So how you going to say you knew Yanquiel would win? He said, I knew Yanquiel would win. He never said one thing about Yanquiel. All these other lives. All the phone calls I called him, and now he's like, yeah, I knew he would win. But yeah, guys, last 10 minutes, then I'm out of here. So get your questions in. We here. You know, I'm just chilling. What top ranks? What's the next top rank? I'm confused by the wording of your question. What's top ranked next weight class to watch out for? Featherweight. Listen, when it comes to this calendar year, everything in 2024 is about featherweight. Karma Serene, good to see you, Karma, as always. Chat, don't go crazy and start getting all horny because Karma's in the chat, because you guys are going crazy in the chat when she gets here. But I take from to mean it's just for weight cutting. It's not like he got popped for Winstraw. Yeah, man. He got caught drinking that flat tummy tea. I mean, what can we say? He got caught drinking flat tummy tea. It had a banned substance in there. Listen, Oscar Valdez, if there's one guy in boxing that, you know, I'll give the benefit of the doubt to, just because he's fighting people and he's not, like, he doesn't come out here and disrespect people, and, you know, he's always been, I think, a net positive for the sport. I'll give Oscar Valdez a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, you know. Andy Cruz class, be good when he gets to Keyshawn, but too soon, never needed to build up. I really think Andy Cruz and Keyshawn should fight by the end of this year. I think Andy Cruz is so advanced at boxing that he doesn't need 6, 7 fights to fight Keyshawn, or 10 fights to fight Keyshawn. Get him one fight against a guy in the top 15. If he looks good enough in that fight, the Keyshawn fight should happen in the fourth quarter of this year. That's how I think. The storyline is already there. They had that familiarity. They had that natural rivalry. Why waste time? Why waste time, you know? Boxing's doing a lot of that, wasting time, over-marinating fights. Like, let's not waste too much time. I understand everybody wants to make their money. I get all that, but the storyline is there. And I think, I'm not saying it has to be like next, but you know, Andy gets a fight against a guy in the top 15. Keyshawn maybe steps up a bit more. They both win the next fight. Boom. Fourth quarter of 2024, you got a really good fight. A lot of people thought that Valdez was going to lose to Burchell. A lot of people did. You know, I remember when he knocked him out. You know, Burchell was like this. He was like this, swinging like all wide, and then Oscar stepped back and he was just like, boom. And that was all she wrote. Eduardo Sugar Nunez and Valdez would be a big fight, but I don't think Valdez would do good against him. I don't think that's a fight Bob Arum wants to make. You crazy? He don't want to make that damn fight. Like, Bob Arum loves Oscar Valdez. He's even on record as saying, he said in the last press conference that Oscar Valdez is one of his favorite fighters. He said, Oscar Valdez is one of my favorite fighters I've ever had the honor to promote here on Top Rank Boxing. And so I don't think he's going to make Sugar Nunez versus Valdez, because Sugar Nunez is a young, strong, heavy-handed puncher with both hands. You know, Oscar has been through a lot of wars. Eduardo Sugar Nunez might detonate his damn chin if they fight. That's a horrible fight to make for Oscar. And the money won't even be that great, honestly. But yeah, shout out to everyone here. Make sure you smash that like button. 7 more minutes and we get up on out of here. Burchell was a nice person, but man, he was a shitty boxer with no talent. You can't, I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, his style was ugly, but Burchell defended the belt plenty of times. You know, I don't want to say he was no talent. You know, you don't win a world title on accident most of the time, you know. Who's the next prospect to win titles this year? Prediction. Otabek Komatov. I'll say Otabek Komatov at featherweight. And then you said prospect. You mean contender? Maybe like Richard Riakporhe. If he gets title fight at cruiserweight, someone like him, I could see winning a title. If they ever gave my boy Filip Hrgović a title shot, I would say him too, but he's not really a prospect. Because you said prospect. So speaking of Filip Hrgović, I saw that Filip Hrgović is actually back in Miami in South Florida, and I did get a hold of him. We did speak, so when I get back home after Komatar versus Ford, expect a Philip Hergovich interview of some sorts. You know, I'm gonna go see him if he's still down in South Florida around like March 4th, March 3rd ish. We should be getting up and hopefully, God willing, you know, doing an interview. It's been a little bit of time since I see my boy Hergovich in person, so would like to see him and see what's going on. Hopefully he has some fight news because he's already doing his training camp. So I think he's just staying ready. I don't think they've announced a fight for him yet, but hopefully it's something big because he deserves a big fight. You know, something big that's gonna get his name out there and let the world know just how good is El Animo. You know, the fighting pride of Croatia, the Croatian sensation. He says, yeah, I get it, but 130 was weak, plus he avoided Lomachenko. Who are you talking about? Talking about Burchell? Well, he wasn't the only one. He wasn't the only one at all. I mean, Tank avoided Lomachenko. A lot of guys avoided Lomachenko when he was at 130. So he wasn't the only guy. Should Zhang be the next heavyweight contender? He is the next heavyweight contender. He's got a big fight coming up against Joseph Parker. I'll be honest with you. I think Joseph Parker's gonna beat Zhang. A lot of people are picking Zhang. Everybody's riding the Zhang train, which, you know, Zhang is a fantastic fighter. You know, great puncher, skilled, amateur background, can counter punch, heavy hands. But I think, I honestly think that Parker's style is, you know, I think Parker is peaking at the right time. He's one of the most active fighters in the entire world at that level. You know, he fought 4 times last year. He just fought Wilder. His confidence is sky high. He's been champion. He knows what it takes. Zhang's conditioning isn't the greatest. Parker's conditioning is one of the best in the division. I mean, it's a fight where obviously you give Zhang a chance because of his IQ, his counter punching, his punching power. But I think Parker should win that fight. And I think once Parker wins that fight, Parker is going to continue to validate himself as one of the better heavyweights of his era. Speaking of Burchell, isn't Golden Boy going to serve up Floyd Schofield or Zepeda? They might. That sounds like a very Golden Boy thing to do. I know Golden Boy was planning on serving up Jojo Diaz to Floyd Schofield, but Jojo Diaz couldn't even be Jesus Perez. So maybe Jesus Perez gets served up to Floyd Schofield instead. You know, that seems like the play. That seems like something that they'd wind up doing. I don't know, man. Zhang has been training hard, swimming and whatnot. Yeah, he has. I mean, look, hey, credit to Zhang. I think Zhang is doing everything he can to get the best out of his boxing career. And he's one of the best heavyweights in the world. Like, shout out to Zhang. I know Diego Pacheco's brother, Federico Pacheco, has been out there sparring with him. But I would love to see. I think Joseph Parker beats him, honestly. My dad really liked Zhang when he was in the Olympics. He would be proud of the Zhang hype train. The Zhang hype train's been crazy, man. Joyce can see Parker, but Zhang can't. Zhang beats Parker. Try and go through. I don't do that. You can't do that in boxing. Joseph Parker, even in that loss, Joseph Parker fought very well against Joyce. But Zhang is not Joyce. Joyce is a guy that suffocates you round by round and methodically, wears you down. That's not who Zhang is. Zhang is a one-punch knockout artist. Joseph Parker is not going to lose to no one. He will never lose to a one-punch knockout artist, like by knockout at least. Like, he never lost to Wilder was one-punch knockout artist. That didn't happen. Joshua's a guy that has one-punch power. You know, he lost to him. Like, he's not going to get stopped by anybody with one-punch power. You only stop Joseph Parker if you're an accumulation, high-volume guy. And Zhang don't have the conditioning or punch output to outwork Joseph Parker. Parker beats Zhang. By late stoppage, too. He beat Hergovich? No, he didn't. It was close, but he... Nah, man. He gave away the second half of the fight. He was blown out of his ass the whole second half of the fight. Damn near lost. He lost... When I've watched it back numerous times. He lost 5 of the last 6 rounds. Zhang is not a one-punch knockout artist. What are you talking about? Yes, he is. Zhang is a one-punch knockout artist. He's not just a one-punch knockout artist, But that is part of what makes Zhang Zhang. He's a great counterpuncher. He's got great timing. He's got all these things. All right. I'm just saying, Joseph Parker, he's been too active. He's too sharp, too experienced. Zhang is not beating him. But it'll be a great fight, and I'm sure it's one that we'll talk a lot about. He says thank you. He lost to Hrgovic, you know? And I'm tired of everyone acting like, you know, that's a win. When, you know, most people haven't even watched the fight back. And from round 6 to 12, Zhang did almost nothing. Like, literally did almost nothing. Except for that one round where Hrgovic turned his back and whatever. But it was a great fight. I'm not taking nothing from him. He performed very well. It was very, very close. I only thought Hrgovic won by 1 point. So if they would have given it to Zhang, I wouldn't have been upset. But I personally thought Hrgovic won. And I would love nothing more than to see a rematch. Because I think that's one of the best fights that can be made in the heavyweight division. So if Zhang beats Parker, man, what a fight. You know? But look, we'll talk more Zhang Parker on the next live tomorrow if you guys want. But I gotta get up. I have to get up and out of here. It was 90 Days of Boxing, day number 37. I'll see you guys tomorrow. But check out all the content on the channel. A lot of videos will drop today. I got one dropping tomorrow. I got to make more as well. And hopefully this last week I'm in Vegas before I go to Comatau Ford. You know, I can get out to some gyms and get some more content, get some more interviews. And, yeah. But keep supporting the channel. It's been a very good and fruitful month. And, yeah, like I say in every single one of these videos, you guys can love me or you can hate me. But I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.